Hi, thanks for tuning in to Heart of Gold. I am Paul Chartier. We have Central Kentucky Radio I, Amy Hatter,
Yes.
and Barbara McGordy joining us. That's a radio.
Yes, it is.
And what does Central Kentucky Radio I do?
All right, we are a radio reading service, and what we do is we provide the reading of printed material such as newspapers, books, magazines, newsletters, a lot of other things, over special radios and in other ways to people who are blind, visually impaired, physically disabled, or have any disability that makes reading difficult or impossible. So that includes a lot of different disabilities.
Do you have any idea how many people you reach every day?
Not every day, but we estimate that last year we reached about 9,500 people across the state of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. And you've newly expanded?
Yes, yes. In 2010, we expanded to reach the Louisville area. And then last year, we partnered with a service called NFB Newsline to reach the entire state via a telephone system.
And how does that work?
How that works is someone who has a visual impairment or another print impairment subscribes to NFB Newsline, and once they get their subscription login and number, they call a local number, go through a short menu, and pick Radio I, and then they can just listen to our broadcast stream just as if they had a radio.
On their phone?
Yes, on their phone. And they can also listen, if they have a smartphone, we're on an app called iBlink Radio. We're on the internet. Our website is radioi.org, so people can listen that way. We're in hospitals, about, I would say, close to 10 now. Patients can turn on their TV in hospitals like Central Baptist, and I can't remember which channel it is, but we're in all the patients' rooms. On special radios like that one.
That is amazing.
On cable TV in Lexington, we're on the Libraries channel for 2 hours in the morning, and on Frankfurt Cable, we're on 24 hours a day on their channel 2. So a lot of different ways people can.
Barbara, you're the board chair.
Yes.
How long have you been involved in Central Kentucky Radio I?
Approximately 10 years.
And how come?
10 years ago, I noticed an editorial in the paper talking about Central Kentucky Radio I and wanting people to come and audition for broadcasting. And I went and they took me on, and I started recording in an old meat locker booth down at Margaret King Library at the University of Kentucky, and then later went live with the reading of the Lexington Herald Leader. And after that, was able to bring more content to our listeners by creating a program, Health Corner, that I did for, I believe, about 3 years, and branched out books, and we've had a request from listeners for a particular program that I'm doing now. And then came onto the board about 6 years ago, and currently am the chairperson.
Amy, you talked about subscribing to your service.
Yes.
How do people do that, and does it cost them anything?
If you live in Lexington or Central Kentucky or the greater Louisville area, which includes 22 counties in Kentucky, you can fill out an application, which you can get on our website, or you can get by calling or emailing us. It doesn't cost anything. We do ask for a one-time $25 user fee, but we've not ever required that. And then we'll just send the radio.
How do people get those?
Yes, our phone number, if they want an application, it's 859-422-6390. Our email address is just info@radioi.org, which is info@radioeye.org. And our website, if someone wants to download it themselves, it's radioeye.org or just radioi.org. So there's 3 different ways to get it. We'll mail the application, or we can email it. And then once we get the application, it takes us maybe a day to process it and send the radio out.
Are you finding that the main users are they shut-ins, or are they people that can't get out? They don't have anybody with them to take them out to do I mean, who are your users?
Well, our listeners do tend to be elderly. Based on our numbers, the average age of our listeners is about 78. And one thing I will tell you is based on our listener survey from last year, 31% of our listeners use the radio to keep themselves company. So that so in addition to getting information and news, that's a secondary reason people use us.
Barbara, you talked about having a health show. What are some of the other things that you read on the air?
Oh, we read publications such as the New York Times. We have a Health Corner program. We have even a grocery show program where people are interested in grocery coupons. What's on sale?
That was really popular.
That's really
That is
popular.
amazing.
That's amazing because
Yeah.
we wouldn't think of that.
Yeah.
Our listeners are very good at asking for certain programming. We read books. We read current books. We read books from authors from Kentucky. We read magazines from the horse industry to just American, maybe American Heritage, different Smithsonian, the reading of the Smithsonian, the reading of the New York Times, the Herald Leader. We try to have our programming directed for our listeners' benefit, what they want to hear. We're here to serve our listeners. That's our main goal. We're their printed word, we're their voice.
What's the future?
Well, we're always working on expanding further. We do cover the state of Kentucky by radio, but I'm all about giving our listeners as many choices to access the news as I have as a person with my site. So I'm interested in expanding to the rest of Kentucky by radio or by TV, so that someone who maybe doesn't have long distance phones, on their phone can still listen free of charge. Because the way our telephone system works right now is you have to dial one of 6 local numbers. So if you're not in the area of those local numbers, then obviously you're using long distance, or if you're using a cell phone, you're using your cell phone minutes. So I want it to be as close to absolutely free to our listeners as we can make it.
And how are you funded?
We are funded by private donations and grants. So fundraising is always an issue. It's always ongoing.
With nonprofit.
Yeah,
And,
with every nonprofit.
and will they know by your website how to make a donation?
Yes, there is a donation button right on the website. On every page of our website, it's there. We want to make sure people, can find it very easily.
We do annual appeals.
Yes, we do 3 appeals a year, one in the winter, one in the spring, and one in the summer, which, really helps us. And then, of course, writing grants and having some events. We've had some very nice restaurants and stores here in town do a charity day for us. Whole Foods just did one for us where I think they gave us 5% of their day's take, and that was
And
a
we have
big
large
help.
companies, big corporations donate equipment, donate money for equipment, various benefactors that we can turn to for printing needs. And we were part of the Good Giving Challenge this year, which was very exciting because it's become about the internet and clicking to give a donation. So we were very pleased with that.
And our 3 biggest partners, which really help us, are the Lexington Public Library, who donate our offices and studio space.
And that's up on the...
It's in the north side branch of the library on Russell K. Road. We're right in the back. So it's great for me as a big book reader, because then I can just zip over and get my books. And then our 2 radio stations who donate our frequencies, WKY and then Louisville Public Media. And what they donate is we broadcast on what's called a subcarrier authorization frequency, which basically just means low-powered sideband frequency, which is why we have to have these special radios. And they donate the frequencies to us free of charge. So those 3 are our main supporters, and we couldn't do what we do without them.
And you couldn't do without volunteers, of which that's how you started.
Exactly. This organization is pretty much staffed by volunteers. We have a small office staff, but it's primarily the volunteers that get the programming out.
Any idea how many volunteers you have?
We have about
About
200 a
200.
year. It averages about 140 a month, and then we have our summer birds and our snowbirds who, you know, fly away and then come back. But yeah, about 200 a year, about 8,000 to 8,500 hours of their time they give us every year.
But we also have volunteers that have been with us for years, since the inception of Central Kentucky Radio I. So it's wonderful because you can donate as much time as you have. It can be a little, it can be a lot.
So for volunteers, they would go to your website, and how would they get involved?
What they would want to do is email or call Chelsea Van Dyke. She's our other paid staff person. She's our studio manager, and her email is at chelsea.vandyke@radioi.org, or if they email the info@radioi.org, that'll get to her as well. Or just call her on the main line, 859-422-6390, and say that they would like to learn about volunteering. And she'll have them come to an orientation and tell them about all the kinds of volunteering that they can do for us, because it's not just readers.
Absolutely not. Lots of different venues. You may volunteer in the office. You can volunteer, be on one of our many committees in outreach that go out and talk to people in nursing homes, making them aware of us, and development and fundraising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Control board, if they like to do
Play
more
with the
techie
buttons.
stuff.
Yes.
And our engineer, who is a volunteer, another great volunteer, Doug Collins, he's made it very simple so that people with no training can come in and after maybe 2 times training know exactly what to do.
Sponsors are important, as are volunteers. So let's give that website again, so if anybody wants to volunteer, they can.
All right, it's radioi.org. That's RADIOEYE.org.
And in our last minute, how many hours a day do you broadcast?
We broadcast 24 hours a day. What we do is we have an 8-hour day that we repeat, and we do that because many of our listeners will work or have things to do during the day, so they'll listen at night. And also, something that a lot of people who are completely blind have is insomnia. So they're up late at night quite often. When there's no light coming to your eye, your circadian rhythm gets out of whack for some people. So we do broadcast it at night as well.
So for people with insomnia, if I read to them, it would cure it. Amy Barber, thank you for providing such a great service to people that really need the connection to the outside, and you provide that. It's electronic, but you know, it's a great service, so thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you for having us.
I'm Paul Chartier. We'll be right back on Heart of Gold.